Hi, my name's Adam. Thanks for joining us today. If you haven't already subscribed to the channel, please do so. Today we're going to cover off part 2 of our mini-series, which is how credit score is calculated in Canada. By the end of the video, you'll understand exactly what piece of the pie is costing you on your credit score. It's tough to know what exactly affects your credit score, but we do have a list of things that we'll cover off here that play into the overall credit score and your ability to borrow money at a preferred rate. So factors that may affect your credit score are how long you've had credit, how long each credit has been in your report, if you carry a balance on your credit card, and if you regularly miss your payments, those will drastically affect your credit score. The amount of outstanding debts you have and how close those debts are to the maximum amount that you can borrow. The number of recent credit applications, the type of credit you're using. Lastly, if your debts have ever gone to collection or you've claimed bankruptcy along the way. So those are some of the factors that will drastically play into your overall credit score. Now, each lender, when you go to borrow money, looks at credit score in different ways. And as I mentioned last week, between Equifax and TransUnion, they also do small calculations. So for example, if you miss a payment on your credit card, it might affect you more on your Equifax credit report versus your TransUnion. In general, let's say applying for new credit. So let's say applying for a new credit card on average costs you between 8 and 12 points on your credit score. Now, those points are usually earned back as long as you do nothing else to your credit score. They're usually earned back within a month or two. So it doesn't take long to build that back up. But that's why you don't want to go out and start applying for a bunch of different credit, because every time you apply, it's hurting your credit score more and more. And if you're not careful with that, you can actually hurt your credit score to the point where it drops so low that you can't borrow money anymore. So you might be out there trying to borrow money, going to different places looking for the best rate. And in the end, you're actually just hurting yourself, because every time you apply and there's a hit to your credit score, it's going to decrease. So be careful with that. The other thing I want to touch on as far as credit score is when you go somewhere and they're going to run your credit check, ask if it's a soft hit or a hard hit. A soft hit does not affect your credit score. A hard hit does. So anytime someone asks you or you sign off to run a credit check, make sure you ask. If it's a soft hit, it's not going to affect your long-term credit score or even short-term credit score. A hard hit does. So be aware of the two and make sure you ask that question up front so that you can understand that the process you're going through, if that will affect your credit score, and make sure that you don't have too many hard hits in a short period of time. So as part of your credit score, there's 6 pieces that kind of build up that credit score. And each one takes a different piece of the pie. So figure out, if you have a low credit score or lower than you expected, run through the pie and see, hey, I've missed a payment, or, I haven't had credit that long. See where you're kind of lacking and start working on that area. Make sure you don't forget about the other ones, because they all play a factor in your overall score. But I'll throw the pie up on the screen right now. And as you can see, payment history accounts for 35% of your credit score. So be very aware of your credit history. How much is owed is 30%. So again, if you're maxing out your debt, if you have a line of credit for $50,000 and you always are bumping right up against that and just paying minimum payments, that will actually hurt your credit score. So be aware of that. Length of credit history. So if you're younger, you can't really help this one. I mean, you can only start getting credit when you're 18. So the problem with that is, if you're 21, you've only had 3 years. So length of credit history plays a big factor. And that's why we always say, as soon as you can get a credit card, get a credit card, start putting small amounts on it and pay it off right away. And we're going to cover more on that next week, tips on how to increase your credit score. And that's part of it, is getting credit early. The next one, which counts for 10%, is new credit applications. So as I mentioned before, you don't want to go out there and start applying for a bunch of new credit on hard hits, because it's going to decrease your credit score. And like I said, it's usually about 8 to 12 points for every hard hit. So be aware of that. The last one is type of credit used. So there's different types of credit. It could be a consolidation loan or a credit card or a mortgage. So there's different types of credit. Each type of credit plays a different factor in that calculation. And again, Equifax and TransUnion do calculate it a little bit different. So sometimes it's hard to know exactly, how is this affecting my credit score? There's no set formula for that, but just be aware of how these small things can affect your credit score at large. So if you've gone out there and got your credit score from Credit Karma or Borrowwell already, and your credit score is a bit lower than you expected, go through this kind of pie chart to figure out where you've struggled in the past and maybe where it's cost your credit score, and now start working on it. So next week, we're going to launch some ideas on how to build up your credit score, either from scratch, if you're younger, or if you need to kind of rebuild it, from mistakes you've made in the past. So we'll go through that next week. So I'm going to throw up the pie chart one more time because I think it's very important that you understand exactly how that credit score is built and how each piece of the pie plays its fact. So payment history, 35%. Make sure you're making your payments along the way. Amounts owed, 30%. So those two take up 60% of your overall credit score calculation. So make sure that you're paying down and not using all of your credit. Length of credit history. Start building early and continue to build right through your life. Types of credit used. Again, some hurt more than others. If you're always getting consolidation loans, that tells Equifax and TransUnion that you're not able to manage your debt properly. Whereas maybe getting a credit card and you have good payment history, that's not going to hurt you as much. And then new credit. Make sure you're not applying for credit too much. Obviously, you want credit. Applying for credit cards and that kind of stuff, it does help build your credit over time, but short term, it will affect your credit score. So just be aware of that. Thanks for joining us today on part 2 of our mini-series on credit score in Canada. If you haven't already, please subscribe to the channel and also click the like button. That really helps the algorithm in the YouTube background get our videos out to more people. And make sure you join us next week in part 3 of our mini-series, which we will give you tips and tricks on how to build your credit score or improve your credit score over time. We have some tricks that we've used for clients that have really helped build their credit score, sometimes over 150 points over a short period of time. So join us next week for that video.